Kes, directed by Ken Loach and based on the novel A Kestrel for a Knave by Barry Hines. Oh, it brings me such joy talking about this one. Now, I want to quickly say that the 2016 edition Blu-ray of Kes is freaking awesome. There are no adverts, a nice little booklet for nerds like me, and although there are some shots that understandably look awful, most of the quality looks crisp and clear. But best yet, there's about 3 hours worth of bonus material here, these long interviews from the cast and crew. And for me, it's cathartic seeing people talk about Kes so candidly because no one talks about it enough. This is why I see Kes as overlooked. Generations before me credit this as one of Britain's best films. But I was born in 1991, and my generation onwards don't seem to even know it exists. It seems to be dying out, and that deeply stresses a nerd like me. Great art should never be forgotten about, so if this review can make just one person give it a shot, it's worth it to me. So let's talk about it. Kes tells the story of Billy Casper, a 15-year-old loner growing up in 1960s South Yorkshire. Stuck with a dysfunctional working-class family, Billy is picked on by almost everyone he knows. He's a no-hoper at school, being almost completely illiterate, and he only has a few weeks left before school ends, and his future seems bleak. But he finally discovers a sense of escapism and fulfillment when he starts training a kestrel in the art of falconry. So Kes is truly a product of his time. Of course, I wasn't alive for the 60s, but when watching this, I feel like I'm there. No film made nowadays set in the 60s can make me feel like this. It's authentic. And it doesn't have modern day movie structure. There are no epic scenes or monologuing. There's not much of a plot to speak of either. You're just watching some boy live his life for a few weeks. Plus, even though this is a family-friendly film, dude, no family film made today could get away with being this dark. It's uplifting but tough to take. It doesn't have a typical Disney ending. And when have you seen a kids film have a poster with swearing on it? Plus, there's child nudity here and actual violence toward kids. I mean, you have to remember, this is back when teachers were allowed to hit children and cane them. And because of that, well, look at this scene here. It's real. According to the cast and crew, on the first take, these kids didn't even know they were actually going to get caned. The boys got in a rut and went on strike, so Ken Loach bribed them with 50p each to do it again, which nowadays is about £10. Fair play to these boys, because I'm almost 30 now, and I'm a pretty tough guy. No one is kidding my hands for just £10. Sod that is painful. So yes, this is very much a product of its time, a view of a world I didn't get to see. And the acting is pretty much stellar from all angles. Billy is played by David Bradley, who had never acted before, and he just sold this performance. It's one of the best child performances I've ever seen. I love how they don't try to get us on Billy's side by portraying him as an angelic victim. He's a lovely kid, he's got a cheeky sense of humour, and he's very hard-working. But he also steals and doesn't concentrate at school. And he gets picked on by the bullies, but just for the sake of it, he briefly joins in with the bullies by wringing some kid's neck. And I love the nuances in these dysfunctions. It's not as typical or obvious as this kid takes hard drugs, gets into fights all the time and stabs people. Nah, all of his dysfunctions are subtle, pernicious, making him dislocated. But we see all of that change when Kes gets introduced to the story. There's only a few scenes with Kes, and the film doesn't try to give him some type of personality to help warm us to him. The whole point of Kes is to see how Billy changes when training him. And it's charming finally seeing this new side come out of Billy. And another thing that helps this passion come out of Billy is the English teacher, Mr. Farthing. God, I love this guy. Again, in modern films, this teacher would be giving epic monologues to Billy about how he is worth so much more than he thinks. Insert motivational music in the background. But in Kes, He brings out the best in Billy by simply treating him like a person and defending him when needed.
Oh, yes. You're a big lad, aren't you? Just about your size, Casper, isn't he? Eh? Why don't you pick on somebody your own size? What if I rubbed your nose in the coke, eh? What would you say about that? You'd say I was a bully, wouldn't you? And you'd be right. Because I'm bigger and I'm stronger than you, aren't I?
In one scene, Mr. Farthing makes Billy stand up in front of the class and explain his kestrel. And seeing Billy finally talk so candidly and express love for something is cathartic while not shoving it down our throats is a big moment. It's a simple scene, but we can tell it's a significant one based on just this. Billy is finally talking a lot. That's it. And it works beautifully. So of course, I highly recommend Kes, but there are some issues here. There's a 5-minute pub scene that kind of confuses me. Kes is from Billy's perspective, but he's not present during this scene. So nothing really gets developed here. It's just grown-ups getting drunk, insulting each other and watching a band play. It's not boring, but it is kind of unnecessary, and I think it should have been cut. Billy's home is also underdeveloped. The dad has abandoned the house, but it's rarely mentioned. We don't get much time with the mother, and Judd is a two-dimensional brute of a brother. I think we should have got more than that. And because Kes doesn't follow traditional movie structure, there's no preparation for the ending. The film kinda just stops. I wouldn't mind this if we got a sequel. From what I heard, there was an idea for one, showing Billy in his 20s, struggling with glue addiction and working in London. But they never got the right funding to pull it off. God damn, that's heartbreaking. There's a lot left to tell. But the biggest issue I have with this film is the same issue everyone has with this film.
Why don't they get one of these on? This is better than walking.
Dad, only just I could go faster on the kids' scooter.
Wait, what did he say?
Dad, only just I could go faster on the kids' scooter.
Yeah, Billy, I don't understand you.
I could go faster on the kids' scooter.
What the fuck?
Why don't they get one of these on? This is better than walking.
Dad, only just I could go faster on the kids' scooter.
Ah. Okay then. Unless you're born in Yorkshire, you need subtitles. The Yorkshire accents are so thick, I understand about 40% of it. So subtitles are a must, even if you're English. Ken Loach himself said that the Americans turned this film down because they had a better time understanding Hungarian. I see where the Yanks are coming from. But these issues are mostly trivial, especially when compared to what Kes means to me and many others. Kes has, in subtle ways, become a part of pop culture. I mean, if anyone out there remembers that goofy English comedy show Bo Selector, yes, for no reason, this is meant to be Craig David hanging out with Kes. But still, it isn't as popular as it should be. This is one of the darkest, ballsiest family films I've ever seen. The struggles of adolescence are perfectly brought to the screen without sugarcoating it or shoving messages down our throats. And the idea of that being forgotten breaks my heart. In my eyes, come on Kes,
Come on then.
should be one of film's most beloved and memorable quotes. Because that line is the sound of a repressed boy finding a reason to be. And I think that's beautiful. So long live Kes. I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. And by the way, on a quick end note, my little cousin works in a cafe, and believe it or not, Ken Loach himself actually pops in there from time to time. Now I've never spoken to him, nor do I want to, as I fear he may be sick of fan interaction after 50 years in the business. But my cousin says that he's lovely to her. And all of this Ken Loach talk is actually what inspired me to buy the Blu-ray, which is why I'm here talking about Kes. I also had no choice but to get another Ken Loach film called I, Daniel Blake. It's freaking incredible, and I possibly prefer it to Kes. It might even be Ken Loach's best film in my eyes. So, yeah, this video is thanks to you, cousin. I appreciate it, and I love you. Thanks for watching, guys. Give me a like, give me a sub, and remember, the better appreciate ya.